Hi guys, welcome to another All Things Tennis racket review video. We're going to continue today with the popular format we've done before, where we're reviewing 8 rackets, okay? Joined here today by James McKinley. He's new to the ATP team. He's got an ATP doubles ranking, and today he's going to try 8 new rackets that he hasn't played with before. He currently uses the Blade 98, so that is the new one we're testing out today. It's in and around kind of that 305 weight, although he might go a little bit heavier, okay? So we've not got anything 300 and below today. It's all 305 grams up to 320 being the heaviest. He's tried a lot of rackets today. We've narrowed it down to 8 for the video, and we're going to play it off like a draw. These are kind of wild cards because they're a little bit heavier than what James normally plays with. So as I said, 305 for James normally, or 304. These are both at 320. So we've got the Babolat Pure Strike Tour, 320, 98-inch head, 1619 pattern. The Prestige Pro, this is the auxetic version, the latest version. This is 320 grams as well, but it's got that denser 1820 pattern, okay? So let's start with the Prestige. What did you think of the Prestige overall as a racket?
I didn't personally like it. I think it was quite a lot like the Boom. It was very stiff from the back. Didn't really feel like I had as much control as I thought I would with the racket. Also, I've never been a fan of the 1820 pattern. Yeah. I've never used it before. Yeah. So I was probably playing quite a factor in it, and I prefer playing with 1619. Yeah. So overall, it wasn't as enjoyable as some of the other rackets to hit with. Yeah. To be totally honest. So the Prestige has been around for a long time. It's known as, you know, all about precision from head, very thin beam. You've got the caps all the way down, and it feels relatively flexible, I think, in terms of like a lower RA. Great for slices and touch and maybe coming in, but didn't translate for James's game. As he said, he's used to a more kind of open string pattern where you get a little bit more easy free power, you probably get a bit more spin from the 1619 versus the 1820, so wasn't quite for you. Okay, here's another 320 racket, okay, the Pure Strike Tour, very different. This creates power, okay, so this definitely is a powerful racket. Prestige, you need all your own power to play with that. Okay, so we'll have a little swap. Talk us through the Strike Tour. It's a bit of a monster. Yeah, it's got some heat behind it. That's for sure. Yeah. I'm realizing that, like, after hitting 4 shots of it, I was like, crikey, like this, you don't really have to do much. Yeah. And the ball is gonna go quite far, which can be quite exciting when you realise you feel like, oh, you feel like you've put on muscle, but actually it's just the racket just doing it for you. Yeah. I found actually when it came into a point situation. Yeah. I didn't really like it at all. Right. Because it didn't really go the way I wanted it to go in terms of the racket, where I wanted to swing and stuff. I didn't really enjoy it. Yeah. But if you like hitting the ball at 400 miles an hour, then this is for you. I mean, that is a kind of big 1-2 racket. It's big forehand, and then it's a dream for that sort of stuff. Yeah, I would have. But overall, I'd say this is a far better racket than that. If it was a life or death situation, I'd choose this one over that. Yeah, okay. 8 days a week, so. Right, So the Strike Tour makes it through to the semi-final. Okay guys, so Battle of the 97s. These two we had to put together because they're very, very similar spec-wise, okay? This is 97 inches, 310, 1619, and so is the Strike VS, which is a brand new frame from Babolat. Okay, this has obviously been done before, the Vcore Pro, but they have made changes to this model. You've actually used the Vcore Pro before, okay, so let me give that to you first. We'll do a little swap. How does it compare to the previous generations, and how did you get on with the frame? I think, well, from what I've experienced, this newer version of the Vcore Pro is better from the baseline than the more sort of green one, the green and gold one that was last year or 2 years model. But I believe, from what I believe, it's still the exact same when you go to the net. Right. It's got the exact same sort of like firmness and sturdiness to the racket when the ball's hit on the racket. Yeah. Same with the smashing, and same when even when you're slicing. When you hit a slice, it kind of pops up a little bit. Yeah. Yeah. But it's just getting the feel to do that. But once you're in, I'm pretty confident that I'm not going to miss a volley with this, whereas I know I'll probably miss that because it's more forgiving.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's a bit more flimsy.
Yeah, okay, yeah. 97, the Strike VS. This is, you've mentioned you've never really played with Babolats before.
Never touched it.
That's why I was interested to get this in James's hands, because this isn't like your kind of stereotypical Babolat, let's say. How did these two compare? Same specs, but you're saying this one was maybe more stable. Did you say you lacked a bit of stability?
That one's maybe a little bit better for feel when balls are a little bit lower, that you can kind of whip that up a little bit more. Especially on the forehand side, less so on the backhand because it's a little bit harder.
Yeah.
But I found that was easier when you're lower down. When you've got an easier ball, I found this was much better.
Yeah. Okay.
And I don't know what it is. It just felt a bit weak in comparison.
Okay,
in comparison to, it's just a personal preference.
Yeah.
Some people obviously will like it, but it just felt a bit. I don't know. It just felt
lacked
like it was
stability.
It just lacked a bit of almost confidence.
Right. Sure. Okay.
So.
Yeah. For me, where the VS range and this one really comes alive, is a little bit of weight at 3 and 9. These come with a really nice leather grip as standard, so you've got the natural kind of headlight balance anywhere in the frame. This at 310, this is obviously 310 anyway, but this maybe led it up to 315, 320 is where it really comes alive. So from what you said, a bit more stability on that. There's a nice feel, but this kind of pulls through in terms of getting to the net, good feel around the net, which suits your game.
Yeah, so I'd go with this.
This goes through to the 7.
8 days a week again.
8 days a week. Okay, so we've kind of gone matched 320s, matched 97s. These aren't similar at all, really, okay? This is a Blade 98. It's a must demo. It's a really good looking racket. It's super popular. And then obviously you've got the Speed Pro, which is 100 square inches, okay? 310, but 1820 string pattern. So that is very, very different. I mean, you couldn't
get much different.
Yeah, they're very different frames. Let's start off with this Speed Pro. Have you used one of these before?
I think I used the 1619 version back in 2016.
Yeah.
So I used to use the old Novak one, not the Novak one, because obviously you had it all tuned up and stuff.
Yeah. So they used to be like 330, I think, 1619.
Yeah.
Now they're a bit less heavy, and
I think I was using 285 at the time. I was only 16, so I wouldn't be using the 330. But, I was hitting with this early, and I don't know whether it's a mental thing, but when you see Novak hit a backhand with it, you just want to hit it like him.
Yeah.
And it felt like, actually, regardless, my backhand was better with this one compared to the forehand. But at the same, it felt a bit more like the Boom actually, and the other up the head one, it was quite powerful.
Yeah.
Which I quite liked, and actually slicing with it.
I
was very good. I was quite surprised. Yeah. But at the same time, actually, when I got forward, I didn't like it at all.
Yeah.
I don't know why. It just didn't really feel comfortable. Overall, I think it's a good racket.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to go and say to someone don't buy it because you don't want, because I've said it's not good.
Yeah.
It is a good racket.
Yeah. It's a great racket for me, the Speed Pro, but compared to something James has been using previously, it's going to be a tough draw for it, I'm afraid. So, you think the blade goes through for you?
The blade goes through.
Yeah. And what really kind of was the best things about the blade?
Believe it or not, actually, I quite like the flimsiness of it. Because it's a bit like the VS one. When you got that low ball, it's so easy to pick it up.
Yeah.
It's very easy, but you're not going to do that often.
Yeah.
So you're only doing that a handful of times in the match. Whereas I think if you actually wanted a bit more cleaner shot, you'd go for this. But because I've played with that for so long, and I've got used to actually knowing what to do with the racket in certain situations, I enjoy playing with that more.
So when you say flimsy, you mean like kind of how quick it is? It's more of a whippy racket.
It's more of a whippy racket.
Right,
yeah,
okay.
That is a better racket than this overall, in my opinion. But it's still not as.
Maybe a bit of lead, 3 and 9.
Maybe possibly if you put lead on the side or at the top, maybe it would make it even a bit more sturdy, and it would be better. But overall, I'd choose that one over this one.
Okay. It's the EZONE 98. This is a brand new Osaka version that's not currently out yet. Thanks to Yonex UK for supplying this sample for the video. What a good looking racket that is, and of course the Boom is very striking as well. Used on tour by Massetti and Coco Tour. How did you get on with the Boom?
To be honest, not great.
Not great.
Not great. As you've already pointed out, Ross, it had a lot more power than the Blade, but nowhere near the amount of feel that I would say that it had. I'd say if you're more likely to slice and dice and stuff, this is not the racket I would use personally. But for some people, if you just want to hit ground strokes on the back, then this would definitely be more to your suiting and liking.
Do you think it suits really an aggressive baseline type of player?
I'd say aggressive, even probably a little bit behind as well, because it gives you that power to push off. If you're back behind the baseline, you're able to get that power to get the ball back. But, but it's for some people, it's not for everyone.
James is a player that really likes to come into the net. Great feel, good hands coming forward, loves to volley. Not your average, player that you normally see. It's normally like a baseline grinder. It's a generic player you see today. What did you think about the EZONE in comparison to the Boom?
I think, I certainly preferred it coming forward, especially once you're actually at the net. It's very, there's no flimsiness with the racket. Your wrist stays pretty firm. From the back, I just find it better. It's a bit more wristy, so it's a little bit more flimsy, less. It's still stiff compared to the blade, but it's nowhere near as stiff as this. And I actually felt like if you get that in the sweet spot, it's pretty nice. But even if it's not quite in the sweet spot, you're still hitting a good enough ball. Whereas compared to this, I think to me personally, I think you had to put it in the sweet spot, whereas it's not going. Not going in.
And then serving with the two rackets, what did you prefer on serving?
I preferred the EZONE as well.
So we're saying Osaka makes it through the first round.
The Dragon gets through.
Okay, so the first of our semi-finals today. We've got the Strike Tour, was a bit of a wild card at 320. It's a monster racket, great power, great stability. Versus the Vcore Pro 97, 310. Probably a bit more feel orientated, a bit more control orientated this. But this is very aggressive baseline and power racket. Okay, so what do you think out of the two? I think this was right up there without giving anything away. Whereas this was kind of, did it scrape through a little bit more into the semis?
Yeah, it scraped through over, I'd probably say the head speed that we were talking about with the blade. It was close between those two, but I think I just went with the sheer power of the racket. It just kind of, it's just a great racket. But I think you hit the nail on the head in the intro to this, that's a baseline racket. And it's not really how I play tennis. So it's, I think, depends what you want. I mean, as I say, some people like this, some people will like this, but overall, I'd say this is a much better racket. You might not get as much power on the serve, but I think overall this would help more when it comes to the other shots.
Control,
so
slice.
Control, slice, volley, even forehands, because that's an absolute monster, so it could go anywhere.
Great rackets of strikes, but for you, the Vcore Pro, I picked this out as probably one of the contenders to start off the day. I thought the Strike VS would be up there as well, which obviously was a 97, similar specs-wise. We think the Strike VS needs a little bit more lead, a bit more weight to make it a bit more stable. The Vcore Pro, we played great with it. We've been playing points as well today. So when we do these videos for you guys, obviously it's important James is going to be using one of these rackets going forward. We're not just feeding him balls, few racket shots for the camera. He's playing tie breaks, playing points against good players, and the choices change over the day. This one was like, oh my god, this is the best racket I've ever played with at the start, and when you played a few more points, maybe a little bit more errors crept in, it's a bit wild, a bit too much power, where you've got this, where you're just so dialed in.
Prefer the Hyper-G to the toe bite as well.
Right, so the final, we've got the Vcore Pro 97, guys. Okay, so the first finalist of the day. So guys, second semi-final of the day. I mean, if we're going on looks alone, which, everyone's choosing the racket for their own different reasons, these two are probably going to be the winners, I think. This racket, EZONE 98, obviously you can get it in that kind of blue colour that they do normally, but this is the Osaka limited edition. The Blade and the EZONE are two of the most popular rackets on the market at the moment, I think. So, as the Blade's in your hand, as it's one you've used previously, kick us off. What do you love about it?
Firstly, the look. The look is awesome, with the green strings as well, it's pretty cool. I like the fact, I like it because I've used it for 5 years. Also, I think from a singles point of view, depends obviously how you play tennis, this has been pretty good for me because of the flimsy forehand. It's quite good on the slice. I tried the EZONE today and I just felt very stiff in comparison to this. Not everyone will agree with that, but that's how I felt. That's how I felt on the racket. Not because it was a Yonex, not because it was a Wilson, just felt stiffer. I think this is also just a better racket as a whole. I think maybe slightly being biased. Having used it for so long.
No, that's what it's all about. We've got to remain subjective on all things tennis. It's about James's racket going forward.
I've seen a lot of people use EZONEs and they've beaten me with the EZONE, and I've used this. But as you say, it's a personal preference.
In the two semis, you're thinking the Blade goes first?
I think the Blade goes through. First reason, I've used it for so long, I'm so used to the racket. 2, I think it's a better racket. 3, it's better for doubles and singles as a whole.
Alright, okay, yeah.
So,
alright. So,
sorry, EZONE.
There you go. Final is
but best looking is the EZONE though, by a country mile.
So guys, we've got our final for today for James, okay? 2 rackets that are, I'd say, reasonably different actually. Okay, you've got the Blade 98 6019, great racket from the baseline, good feel coming forward, versus the Vcore Pro 97. I'm interested to hear what he's going to say. I've got no idea what he's going to say or what he's going to pick here. So go for it. What are the overall pros of the Vcore Pro?
First thing, good volleys from anywhere in the court. I find it a lot easier than the Blade to do that because it's a bit more sturdy. I just find it easier to do that. I don't know. It's just a personal preference, as you say. I think I actually get more power with this on the serve. My serve isn't the biggest at the best of times, but I find this easier to swing coming up to it compared to that. I think maybe partly it's because it's less flimsy as well, so therefore you know your hand isn't going to move in the air, whereas with that my hand kind of moves a little bit. So I'd say that. But, from the baseline perspective, I'd probably go a little bit more with the Blade. And when I mean by baseline, I don't mean returning. I mean forehands, backhands inside the court. Because you can kind of whip it a little bit more. But from a returning standpoint, I'd go with this because
return very, very well with that.
Because I find it easy. Liam, who's behind the camera, he's got a decent serve on him. I felt it was easier to get through the shot with this than compared to that. At some point, I will only probably just play doubles. I don't know when that day is going to happen, but it's probably going to happen at some point. And I believe this is a better racket for that.
Okay, interestingly, we tried out more than 8 rackets today to get to these 8 for James. We've got 8 rackets that kind of carefully picked to what we thought he would really transfer into great rackets for him. James is a player that likes to come in, come from net. Not your generic singles player now. As I said, he's moving more towards doubles play. And we've got to a final. The Blade really shone from the baseline. It's a great racket, the Blade, does everything really well. But James is taking the Vcore Pro 97 forward with him. It's moving more into doubles. It's a great feeling racket, great on the serve, great touch, great for volleys. So James will be working with ATP, moving forward with Vcore Pro 97. Thanks for watching to the end of the video, guys. Please give it a thumbs up, like and subscribe. It does really help grow the channel, and we'll give you more videos like this today because we know you love the format.